What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to EP09. Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. The 2024 Mr. Olympia is now officially in the history books, and we had a very exciting show, you guys. I want to thank everyone who tuned into my live stream. If you're a new subscriber here, welcome to EP09. We've got some interesting stories that really came out of this year's Mr. Olympia weekend. Chris Bumstead announcing his retirement after 6 consecutive wins during his victory speech. Samson Dauda, who shocked the world to take home the Mr. Olympia title, upsetting Derek Lunsford, and Cbum, who many expected to come in and regain his title. The dropout of Nick Walker leading up to the Olympia weekend. Also, a very exciting story. Now, we're going to talk about all three of those things now post-Olympia, because we've got updates from all three. We're going to start out with an update here from Chris Bumstead. Now, we actually had another announcement from Chris Bumstead during the Sunday seminar, which takes place after the finals on Saturday. Now, this announcement from Chris is absolutely monumental, you guys. And this is something that could change Classic Physique forever when it comes to the competitors that it could attract to this division. So, let's hear what Chris had to say.
That's going to be some Cbum money. That's coming from me, but it's truly been a privilege to be a part of this division, and I really want to give back. So next year, they're going to be getting a fatter check than I got this year.
So you guys, short and sweet there from our champion, Chris Bumstead. He will now be putting up his own money to increase the prize money at the 2025 Mr. Olympia competition for Classic Physique. So the current amount that Chris Bumstead just won, the champion in Classic, takes home $50,000. And that's actually the same amount that you see all of the division winners taking home, except for the Mr. Olympia Open title. And we are seeing prize money raised across the entirety of the IFBB when it comes to pro shows. Even the smaller pro shows for many years had a cap of $10,000 for first place. And I'm talking like 30 odd years, you guys, where that was actually in place. We're now seeing shows like $15,000, $20,000. Other shows like the Dubai Pro putting up to $100,000. The Arnold Classic increasing to $500,000. Mr. Olympia won $600,000 this year. Samson took home $600,000, up from $400,000, you guys, okay? So Chris Bumstead, being the very successful businessman that he is, now taking his own money to directly inject into the division that really he dominated, like I said, for the last 6 years. He didn't say exactly how much, but if I was to guess, I would say he'll probably match the Arnold Classic and make it a cool $500,000. You know, that would be, oh man. Compared to what it is now at $50,000, I mean, 10 times more for the winner of that division, I think is going to be a trend that we'll see continue. There's more money being injected into bodybuilding these days. Now, the fact of the matter is, we'll still have $50,000 as it currently stands for all of the other divisions at the Olympia. Everything from 212 to wellness to bikini, all of these competitors still take home $50,000. Will we see the Olympia step up those divisions when it comes to prize money as well? And that's going to be a more difficult task. Absolutely, it'll be more difficult. You know, these are not pennies that we're talking about here, you guys. This is significant money being put up. But, you know, I want to know what you guys think about really the start of what I think is going to be a snowball effect for the rest of the divisions. Even if it's going up to $75,000 for the others, $100,000 every year, we could be potentially seeing an increase. And like I said, these athletes finally getting what they deserve when it comes to what they put into the sport of bodybuilding. So let me know what you guys think about Chris Bumstead's announcement here. And let me know what you think about his decision to retire on stage at the very top of the Classic Physique division. All right, we got to talk about Nick Walker signing a new contract during the 2024 Mr. Olympia Expo. So Nick actually did show up to the Expo. You know, he expressed his thanks to his fans, his congratulations to Samson Dauda, of course. But Nick actually, I think, is making his own news here at the Olympia, even without being a competitor. Now, Nick actually signed with a new sponsor at the Olympia, and I'm going to let you guys hear what Nick had to say, and then we'll talk about it.
Tech Gym, and I will say that New Tech is probably my favorite brand of equipment, so it only feels right to sign with my favorite brand of equipment.
So Nick Walker signing a contract with New Tech Equipment. He joins the ranks of Derek Lunsford, Regan Grimes, Milo Sarshev. You can see Dorian Hamilton in the video here. I believe he does have equipment actually at Pure Muscle and Fitness, the Canadian mecca of bodybuilding gyms here. And the reason that this is significant is because this shows that the industry is still willing to invest in Nick Walker, and he still has significant value in the industry. You got to think about it. This guy dropped out of the Olympia this year, 1 week before the competition. The year before that, he had to drop out due to an injury. Now, he did come in and win the New York Pro this year, but to have a major player in the bodybuilding industry, really around the world, like New Tech Equipment, come in and sign a deal with Nick Walker just a week after he has to drop out of his second consecutive Olympia, I think that really shows his value when it comes to who he is in the bodybuilding industry. And his other sponsors have stood behind him as well. I mean, look, Nick actually got away with getting a hold of the Olympia, telling them that he was not going to compete, and dropping out of a competition after you've confirmed that you'll be competing in that competition, I believe could constitute penalties with the IFBB. And Nick doesn't seem to be subject to that here. Now, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But the fact of the matter is, he did seem to get away with it. But there's one really key takeaway from all of this with Nick Walker. And the fact of the matter is, he needs to deliver in 2025. If he does not deliver in 2025 when it comes to either competing, winning pro shows, getting back to that Olympia stage, I think is the biggest thing that he needs to deliver on. He'll start to lose some credibility here. 100%. Nick Walker will start to lose some credibility. He is still, I think, one of the best bodybuilders in the world, and he still does consider himself to be top 3 in the world. But the fact of the matter is, after missing 2 Olympias in the row, Nick's got to come and improve that, because it is a completely different playing field at this point. And until Nick does get back on that bodybuilding stage, the question will continuously be asked if Nick can compete in this new landscape of bodybuilding. And I know that sounds a little bit ridiculous because it's only been 2 years now. It'll be 3 by the time Nick gets back on stage. But you guys, that is how quickly bodybuilding changes. Just look at when Derek Lunsford won the Olympia as compared to now when Samson Dauda has won the Olympia. Jake Wood himself came out and said that conditioning is the lazy way to judge a bodybuilding competition. And Nick Walker, one of his calling cards is muscularity and certainly conditioning. Samson Dauda, arguably not the most conditioned guy on stage at the Mr. Olympia this year, and still took home the victory. So the question is, again, like I said, can Nick actually compete on this current landscape of bodybuilding? You guys let me know what you think in the comments below on that. Let me know where you think Nick Walker should come back and compete, and let me know where you think Nick Walker will come back and compete. Personally, I think Nick Walker coming back and doing another Arnold Classic and taking home that title is another key thing here, would certainly put him right back in the conversation of solidifying the fact that he still is viable for top 3 bodybuilders in the world. All right, last up here today, fresh off his Mr. Olympia victory, Samson Dauda at the Sunday seminar of the Mr. Olympia comes out and announces he will continue to compete despite already winning the Mr. Olympia competition. We will see Samson on stage again in 2025. We're going to get to exactly what show here in a minute, but we actually had Fouad Abiad comment on this, and he gave his 2 cents on what he thinks about Samson's victory leading up to this Mr. Olympia, as well as he says which show Samson is going to do here and why Samson is going to continue to compete after the Mr. Olympia, because that's not always typical of a Mr. Olympia champion. So check it out here.
So, but if you think about it, everything he's done this year is the opposite of what the experts say you should do.
Yeah, right.
He competes more than everybody. He competed at a show 2 weeks out from the fucking Olympia.
Unheard of.
He hired his wife to coach him when everybody was like, you should hire a top guru.
Yeah.
He trains with super high volume. He trains with not textbook form, like 7-second fucking eccentrics. He's like, you know, he just does his own thing. He's like, this is what I want to do. And I even talked to him about post Olympia. I said,
yeah, so before we get into that here, it's absolutely true that Samson took a lot of criticism this year for many of the decisions that he made leading up to the 2024 Olympia. You know, he went to Dubai basically was saying that Dubai was the new hub for bodybuilding, and everybody should come and compete in Dubai. Ended up going home very quickly, controversially hiring his wife as his coach, competing before the Olympia, all these things that Fouad said, absolutely true. But Fouad continues to talk about here the announcement here of which show Samson will actually be competing in. Check it out.
You're going to keep going? He's like, yeah, I want to do the Arnold.
Really? Good. I was wondering that today.
Huh?
I was wondering that today. What's his next plan? Is he going to do the Arnold?
I think he already said it. I think he said it during a seminar or some shit. Like he said he wants to do the Arnold.
That's crazy, man. Like you're like you said, he's doing everything different than what a Mr. Olympia is supposed to do.
You know why?
But he's doing it, and he's doing it successfully.
You know why? It's because Samson fucking loves bodybuilding.
Yeah, he does.
Samson Dauda will continue to compete simply because he loves the sport of bodybuilding. Because the guy just loves to compete. I mean, what more do you really want out of an Olympia champion, honestly? This is exactly, I think, what modern bodybuilding needs from their Olympia champion. Now, this is not heard of from Olympia champions of the past. We had guys like Phil Heath, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, even Dorian Yates all went to compete in shows despite being the Mr. Olympia champion. Now, Samson always maintained the fact that he did not want to be the type of bodybuilder that just did one show a year. But it really does change, I feel, once you win that Mr. Olympia title. To continue to compete could potentially put your credibility as the Mr. Olympia champion in question. I mean, to come in and say, do the Arnold Classic like he's about to do, what if he is to lose that show? Does he leave that door open when he finally does come back to do the Mr. Olympia title to defend his title, and his first title at that? That's a significant point. But Samson was a bodybuilder that always maintained that he did not want to do one show a year. And it seems that he's going to continue on that path even after winning the Mr. Olympia title. Now, I have to give credit here to Mark's Max Muscle. He actually mentioned something to me here that Samson pretty much has to compete. If Samson was to consider not competing after saying that he did not want to be that kind of bodybuilder to come in and do multiple shows a year, I mean, that could affect a little bit of his credibility. So the fact that he is following through on this, I think, is a very good move for Samson. And look, it's just the fact of the matter that this is what the guy wants to do. He wants to continue to compete, and he's not afraid to compete. The same way that he was not afraid to be the only one at that press conference to hit some poses when nobody else would do it. Everybody else sat in their chairs, okay? So you guys let me know what you think about this. Do you think this is a good move by Samson, or is he really leaving the door open for somebody else to come in and potentially be a bigger threat to his Olympia title after he just finished winning the biggest title in bodybuilding? As for me personally, I think this is a good move. I really enjoy seeing our Olympia champion not be afraid to come out and win more shows even after you've won the biggest show in bodybuilding. This is what bodybuilding needs in this modern era, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm going to wrap up the video right here. Again, thank you everyone who tuned into my live streams for the Olympia weekend. I've actually got interviews coming up with Tim Wilkins. I've got Kareth Bajo coming on the panel as well. Stay tuned. There's still much more to talk about when it comes to the 2024 Olympia. But that's it for me in this video, you guys. Thank you for tuning into EP09. Be sure to like and subscribe.